Thanks for watching and for hopefully beginning to actually take step 3 of how to use Zoom for a primetime TV presence. In case you missed it, step 3 is about getting your audio right as you go for that primetime celebrity TV presence sounding good. Nice. It's part of our 5-part series, so if you missed it, it's right there on my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/artjohnson. However, now it's time to take your next step in our 5-part series, the power step 4, having to do with getting your video right for that primetime celebrity TV presence looking good. So here we go. Okay, let's go to step 4, really important. So we talked about the audio, we talked about, critically viewing and doing, we talked about the, getting the audio right. Now your video right. Now what is a video right? There's more to video than just being seen. There's so much essential things you need to understand about video, particularly if you're trying to get that broadcast primetime TV presence look right, even over Zoom. And that's really possible. And so the first thing that you need to understand, I hate to say it, but you're actually on TV. So you got to think like you're being on TV. You got to look at how people who are lit up on TV, even if they're coming in from home and they're celebrities, they are professionally lit. And so you can get better at this as you go. But I'm giving you the basics to get a good look in terms of inexpensively. So one of the first things you got to really think about is your webcam and where it is. Mine's raised up slightly. It's not really there on, I'm not coming out of the webcam that's on my computer. I'm actually coming on a raised webcam that's about 3 or 4 inches above my regular webcam that's on my screen. And that really makes a difference because this area here, that your jowls and your wrinkles and stuff, when it's looking down, it makes you look younger. I am younger in the head, of course, but it does make you look good. So make sure that your camera is above you. Now, okay, so you don't want to invest in maybe a webcam, but you do have that thing, you have that webcam right in your screen. So what you do is you get a bunch of books and you just set your whole laptop on your book so you get that thing up higher and you're going to look much, much better. So that's something to think about, raising your webcam. Now the next thing is getting your lighting and contrast right. Oh my goodness. People jump on, oh, let's have a Zoom meeting, oh, let me record you, let you pitch. And then they're sitting, listen to this, they're sitting there and light from a bright window is coming from behind. You know what that does? It makes them look like a person in a witness protection program, because what's going on is the automatic gain circuit in the webcam is averaging for the brightest light coming off the screen, which shuts down how it sees you. And if you are a person of color, it's really bad because, there's too much contrast. You need to really have some rich skin tones behind you. And even a dark screen, notice how dark my screen is. And if I move over here and I have that kind of bright light, that kind of gets in the way. So it's really important to really understand lighting and contrast and what the camera needs to look good and make you look good, to make you snap. Okay, so we cover that. And then you want to get your framing and your composition right. Now, right now, I'm right in the middle of my screen. This kind of works for me as a thumbnail person doing my presentation here. But say, for instance, I wanted to show some slides, on my screen here. If I position myself here and then when I'm recording, I can then add those elements, like a graphic or something, a picture of somebody or something like that. So you got to plan, your composition. Also, there's something called a rule of thirds that really kind of works really, really well. And you just physically, you think about dividing your screen horizontally and vertically in thirds, and then you position yourself kind of in one of the cross sections of where those lines cross. And generally, if you look at scenes or photographs, you'll see the horizon kind of, they see the horizon kind of right let's see, where's my fingers here? You'll see the horizon kind of right up, you know, right up here, like a third down, okay? And the ground a third down. And, you know, usually, you know, I'm in this one of the apexes of a third here. So these are the rule of thirds. These are some technical things that all videographers, that all good photographers understand. You can go and ask, you know, just Google for rule of thirds and you'll get some great information. But the main thing is to get your framing composition right so that you look like a pro. Okay, and then you want to get your background right and look good without clutter. One of the reasons why, you notice I've got a background here. I've got a virtual background that kind of fits my brand. And so I'll stop my screen share here and I'll show you this is a special feature that I really, really like about Zoom. And I'm assuming that you have a Zoom account. If you've ever been on Zoom before, you automatically have a free account. And if you invest in a pro account, which is about $15 a month or less, if you have a discount, you can go longer than 40 minutes for a session. And, you know, there's some other features there that are pretty nice. But I'm going to go ahead and stop I'm going to stop my screen share for a second here. Let's go back and I will stop my share. And now I'm back. And I'll show you, this is kind of my standard one. This is a static picture here that just happened to come with Zoom. But I also discovered another one that's really kind of fun, which is very related to and I think Zoom probably got this from the same people. This is from Canva. So notice here, and now I got the globe moving. And I do have a bright light here kind of shining the surface here, probably the sun. But it's kind of fun. And, you know, you can really create a different mood and, you know, communicate where you are by doing this. It's kind of really neat. And, you know, that's kind of really important to see where you're going. I can also go right here and change. And one of the things that make people jealous is to have, you know, pretend like you're there at a beach enjoying the tropical breeze and the waves crashing here. Here's a really good, a really nice one here, kind of a nice nature one as well, where I have waterfalls coming behind me. That's quite nice. And you can kind of see, you know, get that nice feeling here, the waterfalls and stuff like that. I'm also invested in buying a few things, images that I specifically need. Here's one, as I do virtual conferences and trade shows, here's one that really creates the feeling that you're in a virtual cafe. And that's really nice. The virtual cafe is just really gives you an idea that you're going to have a conversation, you know, virtually across that. You might even, in that plan, you might even give away Starbucks gift cards so they could actually be at a Starbucks and go get their latte or go get their panini or their breakfast sandwich or whatever. And so that's a really good one. And then there's, it just goes on in here in terms of this choosing a virtual background. Here's one that's pretty nice as well. It's kind of wild well, it's under the sea one. So you see that I've got fish swimming all around, and I've got, I'll just show you another one that's just nice. You can go on crazy here. Here's a real creative one here. You know, lots of busyness going on here. You know, really kind of fun stuff. And here's one that's like really spacey, like I'm flying, you know, in the stratosphere. Very, very nice in terms of that. So I just really, really like virtual backgrounds here. And just go back to my standard static one here and I'll go back into my screen share and make sure that my screen share is still up there and running. And I'll show I'll come back with my video panel here. So you see where I am. So anyway, that's the idea of you know, those backgrounds here, and so that's really kind of neat. Again, the webcam that I'm using right now is the outboard one that I bought. It's a C920. There's a C930. They're very similar. They're HD webcams. And this is a highly recommended outboard HD webcam that is really nice. It has its own USB 6-foot cable that plugs into your computer. And it just works really, really nicely. And, you know, it has a little bracket that you just hang it onto your screen. It can hang, or in this case, I have it mounted on my teleprompter hardware. And Logitech's webcam controller software allows you to adjust settings for color, saturation, hue, brightness, contrast, zooming in and out. And I'm using mine, again, with my low-cost teleprompter. And a better webcam will have you look way better. Now, the good news is today's later model laptops have really decent webcams in them now, just because people are more literate and more likely to have some kind of a video call. So you can actually get by with using the existing webcam that you have. However, if you're using a teleprompter, and I've got mine mounted, I got my C920 mounted right there. Here's the teleprompter that I'm using. Why I use a teleprompter? Because you can read text and be just like on broadcast TV. They're all looking at a teleprompter. They're good at it, so you don't feel like, it feels really natural. They got a lot of flow, but they have a lot of practice too. And so here's one that I researched and really found after many, many months of research. I found one called the Little Prompter. It's under $200, and it's a great tool. My C920 webcam is mounted on it on a low-cost 12-inch desk tripod with the supplied mounting hardware. And the way this works is there's no mechanical part on this, the actual teleprompter itself. It's basically a see-through 45-degree glass and has a cloak on it, so that when you set your smartphone right on the little platform, it actually, you know, here's my cell phone here, and that cell phone is actually running your software, your teleprompter software. And so I write my script on a Google Doc, and the great thing about a Google Doc is it's cloud-based document. So I have a big, nice screen on my laptop, and I'm saving that. You know, that's actually in the cloud. And Google Docs is also available on my Samsung phone. I think it's probably available also on an iPhone. And so now, without having to try to have a cable or try to transfer the file from one thing onto another, you got it right there in the cloud. And so then I just write my script on a Google Doc, and then I just copy and paste my script right into low-cost Teleprompter Pro mobile amp. I'm using when I bought it, it was only $6.49. There's other teleprompters over there, and you need to rate them. Some of them are now voice actuated. Mine's very simple. I just figure out the speed of how the scroll needs to go for my timing, and I have to kind of have enough space between my lines of my script, and it's just a matter of practice. And so I lay my phone right on the little prompter's tray and tap the screen, and bingo, I read my script as it scrolls, recording my editable session over Zoom. And that's so cool. It's such a great way to do this. Now, what about other cameras? A lot of people who are just jumping into this are considering, you know, oh, I need a really good camera and webcams aren't good enough, blah, blah, blah. So they buy a digital SLR, which ends up really being overkill, I think. Unless you're a photographer, buying a digital SLR camera can really be an overkill. And yes, digital SLR cameras look impressive. And yes, their lenses can be really nice, and they can do some really nice stuff with fuzzing the background and doing all that. However, they're in reality, they're very cumbersome and impractical, particularly if you're trying to produce something in the field. And you show up with a big, intimidating camera like that and start shooting, people sometimes will say, hey, not allowed here. Where if you have a smartphone, they're kind of used to people, tourists and stuff like that, shooting different things, you know. And so you can get by with more stuff. Also, digital SLRs are very pricey, 600 plus, sometimes just for the body. Then you got to buy the lenses. Then you got to learn how to use it. And then you learn that it's kind of inflexible. Doesn't have the flexibility of today's latest model smartphones that have more lenses now, and they're actually more practical. If you really like to have more control, there are actually pro settings that you can access on these phones to know what your ISO is and shutter speed and stuff like that that you would expect to have on a fancier, you know, digital SLR. You can go there, but most people are point and shoot, and boom, you're ready to rock and roll. And so these smartphone cameras are optimized to know what kind of a user they got, not maybe a professional photographer, but someone who's trying to produce some content and get it done. So they actually deliver way more bang for the buck. Now again, a ring light will help. Here's a ring light that I'm actually using on my desk right here, right now. Mine has a knob on it. Let's just go over here. So it'll light your face. Notice now I have light coming in from my window here, but the other side of my face is not well lit. That's kind of dramatic sometimes if you're doing an introspective piece, but you want to then even it out. So this just makes it just perfect. This is a ring light. It's a soft light, and it has a dialable knob on the back to just get the level just like you need it. And the one I use even has a mirror right in the middle so you can kind of see what you look like. I always see what I look like on the video in the session, which is more reliable because that's what the camera is processing. And so that's really that. And so the price for this one was under $30, and it's really a good investment to make. The next investment to consider getting for really the good lighting is a soft light kit. And low-cost soft light kits can light you and your green screen right. Low-cost soft light kits can light you and your green screen really well. My own kit and some of these kits use spiral fluorescent bulbs that, you know, and they're like four bulbs to each one of those soft screens, and you know, and you put it together, and they collapse, but they're really not portable. They're really not portable, even though you see a case, the thing will fall apart if you are going to be trying to slap it around. The best idea is to keep it right there in your studio, ready to go, so you can just turn it on and do that. Now, back in the day, I used to be a broadcast industrial system sales engineer. I designed studios and I had to sell them a lighting kit. Well, back there in the day, they didn't have these spiral fluorescents or LEDs. They had these really, really, really hot quartz lights. They were 1,000 watts, and they used a lot of amperage. So if you didn't have long extension cords and plug them into different circuits, you'd blow the fuses or the circuit breaker because there's just too much, too much amperage going over there, and you melt down the wiring if it didn't shut off. And then these bulbs are so weird. So even when they're cool, if you touch them, you got the oil from your fingers on one of those bulbs. When you turned it back on, the oil of that from your finger would make that thing shatter. It would explode based on that. And then you'd have to buy another bulb at $40 a bulb. And so, and the kit itself before the bulbs would be $1,500 and weigh a ton. Again, you don't want to schlep that at all ever, but people did. And so, but today's price, for these over the internet, are under $150. That's 1/10 of that for a cool a cool system, and I bounce mine off the ceiling and light my green screen with it. Here's something else to think about and consider is my smart phone rig that I'm using. This is a Ulanzi U-Rig Pro shooting frame. It's only $27, but if you've ever shot with a small phone, immediately you mess up because you might put your finger over where the camera is, and you see a finger in there, or your hands all cramp up because it's just so hard to hold it there cramped as it is, where this just makes it very comfortable. Move everything around here, and this holds. I've got a Rode video mic with a shock mount. I paid $59 on. There are these bright LED lights that I forgot what the price was, but they're reasonably priced, and they have the battery operated, so these little knobs can bring them up and down. And I'm using a Samsung Galaxy S10 smartphone. I think the newest one, maybe a S20. But after you get to a certain range, they're all good. And I'm using a 128 gigabyte class 10 memory card. This is about as big as my fingernail, so I don't actually load up my phone. I got extra storage on that card, which is wonderful. And then the cameras itself have digital stabilization, so I can be moving this thing around without even having to have a tripod. And the digital image stabilization is amazing. So you don't even have to have a gimbal or a Steadicam or all this other stuff. You just need to have a later model smartphone with this, you know, Samsung thing, or I think the iPhone has some kind of stabilization. And so it's very comfortable to use. I highly recommend this. And this is where you could go out and do a shoot. You can even edit on these phones. There's some software that I can tell you about if you call me on the phone. There's some software that I'm actually editing completely on my phone sometimes, and then completely hitting one button and sending it up to YouTube. Amazing. And your video and your quality are really excellent. Most video now is at least shot in HD. There's an Ultra HD, which is really not necessary. It's overkill. But and the management of those files is really easier if it's in HD format. But you do have these, you know, 4K TVs now and all that stuff. But the video quality is really good in HD. And the photos and the video files are backed up on my phone right to Google Photos. So even if I lost my phone or I threw away a file, boom, it's all backed up right there in Google Photos. The storage is not expensive. Again, you want to look at using a bounce reflector when you're outside. You notice this picture of this lady. She looks very gothic here because of the deep, dark eye sockets here. And that's because she's in overhead light, which, you know, her occipital ridge, you know, makes shadows, you know, coming straight down on her eyes. Now, some women love to look goth, make their eyes up like that. But look how neat this woman looks. You see her eyes. There are no big shadows where her cheeks are. She's really well lit. And that's because an assistant is there bouncing the light right onto her face and filling that out and filling in the shadows. And this one has 5 different kinds of reflectors, depending on the kind of the quality of the light that you want to bounce back onto your subject, your talent. And this one is only $15.99, very lightweight. They're kind of like a wire frame. And this one just looks like it all zips into one little package, depending on which one you're using. Really a good investment. Again, your virtual backgrounds is really, really important here. And, you know, doing that is just really, really good. So you want to have that video background. That's something to really seriously consider, background with Zoom. And Zoom has a virtual background capability, and even animated videos work in the video background feature. And the same background can help your brand, you know, if you're in a show or an expo or something, you can upload your own images for your branded look. So anyway, I showed you that, and you now know how to, the green screen. That's something really to help you, so you don't have all that clutter behind you. You're well lit. If your green screen is the right way, you're going to pop, and your background is nice. And so, really nice. This is one you'll get. They need to be evenly lit for the best results. That's where the lighting kit comes in. I bounce mine off the ceiling, so mine is lit well and evenly. My own green screen I bought on Amazon a few years ago was a great buy. The whole thing was under $30, and it has like a tripod with these two arms that go out here, and a 6x6 well-made cloth with grommeted corners. And the bad news, however, it's no longer available on Amazon. Maybe it'll come back under a different name or something, but it was a great buy. I'm so glad that I bought it. Zoom, also, again, I showed you the auto green screen feature that works with virtual backgrounds or even background videos, but you'll get that annoying kind of lost image kind of look. Thank you for watching step 4 of how to use Zoom for a primetime TV presence. That important 4th step you need to get right for a celebrity TV presence by getting your video right. You're making great progress. You're awesome. Thanks for hanging in there. So stay tuned. Now for your next and final step, watch our step 5 video about getting your power feature-rich Zoom use right, especially regarding having good session security and possibly using a moderator with some helpful tips and extra help if you might need to fast track all this. So go for it. So that's it for this step, but there's more, especially if you visit my YouTube channel. And if you like what you see and where I'm going with all this stuff, I invite you to also subscribe to my channel and click on my bell icon to be notified of more good stuff to come. Now, what about this content that I just shared with you? Please weigh in with your thumbs up or your thumbs down, because I care. And what about what's on your mind now that you've just viewed my content? Please make a comment below so I can learn more about how I can best serve you. And as we all keep moving forward, not only just surviving, but also thriving. And if you'd like to know more about me, about my background, and about my services, then I invite you to visit and browse my website build at newworldcom.com and possibly even meet with me face-to-face inside my Zoom-powered virtual architecture. Just give me a call so we can both take full advantage of 30 minutes of free consultation time meeting together inside of Zoom itself. Sweet. Even in those free 30 minutes, we can connect, and I may be able to help you fast track stuff. So just call and text me at 206-920-8067. I look forward to connecting with you. Thanks.